Tropical Cyclone Jasper has weakened overnight, however it is expected to intensify just before Cairns landfall, and it could become a significant, severe Category 3 tropical cyclone just before landfall once again. So your latest update brought to you by Force 13 Australia on Tropical Cyclone Jasper, a Category 2 strength system in the Coral Sea right now, and it is posing an ever-growing threat to Cairns and surrounding communities. Your latest update brought to you by Force 13 Australia. Please do consider subscribing, leave a like on the video while you're at it, and tell us how we can improve in the comments section down below. So, Bureau of Meteorology running with Category 2 status on Tropical Cyclone Jasper at this time, you can see, with their latest forecast cone initialising the storm with 110 km/h sustained winds, gusting to 160 km/h, still a dangerous tropical cyclone with a destructive core. The storm is going to be passing over the Coral Sea and the coral reefs around Willis Island and Lihu Reef in around the next 24 to 48 hours before it will re-strengthen north of Cairns and become a Category 3 severe tropical cyclone once again as it gears up for its final approach, where a landfall on Wodjal Wodjal is expected in around 3.5 days' time. Cairns expecting the destructive core of Tropical Cyclone Jasper and could be in for an absolute belting from this system. So here's a look at multi-model diagnostics here and the Bureau of Meteorology forecast cones on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see the storm has weakened from its incredible peak of about 120 knots. That's very close to a Category 5 strength tropical cyclone on the Australian scale. Conditions are going to become a lot more favourable for this system over the coming couple of days. Sea surface temperatures are going to increase, which means the storm will have plenty more fuel to intensify, and wind shear will decrease, which means the storm will not be facing any environmental effects that could rip the storm apart and prevent it to getting to a strong intensity. So once again, Category 3 strength landfall is expected just north of Cairns in around 3.5 days' time. And you can see with our latest forecast track map right now, Category 2 status maintained for the next 2.5 days before it will likely strengthen right back up to that Category 3 status. It will be rapidly intensifying upon landfall, so a mid-range Category 3 landfall is possible. Port Douglas is likely to get the worst impacts of this system. However, Cairns won't be far behind, expecting the destructive core of this system. And in conjunction with a couple of the other forecast models, we're calling for this system to move into the Gulf of Carpentaria, where it has a moderate chance of reformation. So here's a look at the satellite imagery of the storm. You can see it is not looking very pretty indeed. It is looking like a weak tropical cyclone right now. However, it is maintaining convection in the fate of some very strong and hostile conditions around the storm. So it is doing very well indeed to hold on to the convection, the thunderstorm activity that it already has. You can see it is swirling around in the lower levels. It's pumping quite a lot of this onshore flow, these low-level clouds, which could be bringing heavy showers towards the Queensland coast and destructive winds as well. There is a chance anywhere north of Mackay could receive damaging wind gusts over the coming couple of days. So here's a look at the Access G3 forecast model, courtesy of windy.com. This is the Bureau of Meteorology's own forecast model. You can see the cyclone expected to weaken a little bit more before it re-strengthens as it makes its final approach to Cairns. It grows in size a little bit as well, but the core itself tightens itself up, becoming a Category 3 cyclone as indicated by those purple shades on the winds, moving over the Cape York Peninsula and then moving into the Gulf of Carpentaria at about sort of Thursday evening, and then re-intensifying there, becoming a tropical cyclone once again north of Mornington Island, and it looks like it rapidly intensifies. Playing that through a little bit faster this time, you can see the storm re-strengthening quite substantially just before its landfall on Cairns, stopping it here. You can see those purple shades, a Category 3 strength cyclone with those Category 3 winds being punched into Cairns at that time. So a significant landfall on Cairns, or just north of Cairns, is expected, which means Cairns will get the worst conditions from this cyclone as per this forecast. Let's look at the Icon model. It's pretty similar to the Access G3, which means certainty around the forecast time and location is increasing, which means we can now pretty safely say that there is no other places in Queensland that are going to get directly hit by this cyclone. It is going to be exclusively Port Douglas, Cairns, and the surrounding town sites. However, the Icon model takes it a little bit further north, a direct hit over Cooktown, weakening a little bit over the Cape York Peninsula, and then looks like it maybe makes it to the Gulf of Carpentaria, but that's a little bit further out for us to tell. But you can see a severe tropical cyclone making landfall on Cooktown. Now you can pause the video here and take a look at our how to prepare checklist. This is basically all the things that you should be going through in preparations for this tropical cyclone. But let's jump into some forecast models over at windy.com. So here we are over at windy.com right now. You can see the satellite imagery of this cyclone right now, and we've also got wind readings now coming in from these coral atolls in the Coral Sea right now. Lihu Reef Lighthouse recording winds sustained of 31 knots out of the south. That is only going to increase as this storm makes its passage over the reefs over the coming couple of days. And you can see here with our forecast models, we're going to take a look at the Eastern Riviera forecast model first, as we're zoomed right in. Cairns over here, Ravenshoe, Cardwell down here, Atherton, Mareeba, these little towns all through here. Cooktown is up here, and you can see the storm, the cyclone, is expected to move south, just south of Lihirith. Here is Willis Island. There's a radar station right here, and we're going to be watching this one very closely as well, and maybe some footage of that will make it into the next video that we produce here, so make sure you have subscribed so you get notifications for that. And then the cyclone curving back up towards the north, moves a little bit further north, in fact passes straight over Flinders Reef right there, so it'll be interesting to see what the wind observations come out of that. It'll most likely be a category 2 at about this time. Now, the Eastern WF hasn't been too reliable with this cyclone so far. Tuesday it's taken the cyclone south of Cairns for a landfall. I don't think this is going to happen right now. That would probably spare Cairns from category 3 strength cyclone winds, so that would be a very good situation indeed. However, you'd be looking at Cardwell getting a tremendous amount of storm surge just being funneled into the sort of Bay Area down here, and same with like Tully and Innisfail. They'll get a tremendous amount of rainfall from this system, so that's not exactly a best case scenario. It's probably a better scenario for Cairns and the cyclone making landfall just north of the town side of Cairns. But again, I wouldn't exactly trust this picture right now. If it stays consistent into Monday, then we'll most likely be seeing this happen. But once again, I don't think it's going to happen. And just to note, that landfall is Wednesday morning local time. So landfall looks like it's been pushed forward about 12 hours so far. So expect landfall probably anywhere after Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, right through to about Wednesday midday. Now, the GFS model is one that I like a lot more. This model has been really good with the cyclone so far. You can see it making landfall on Port Douglas. Very, very consistent forecast. This has been the picture for about 2 or 3 days now. So this is most likely, this is what the scenario that is most likely to happen is going to look like. Landfall Thursday morning, but you can see the destructive core of the cyclone passing over Cairns itself with, I believe, peak wind gusts. They'll probably be approaching 130 to 140 kilometers an hour as this cyclone moves through Thursday morning. So landfall Thursday morning, which means the worst conditions will start probably around Wednesday morning, and they will persist into maybe early Thursday afternoon or so. And then Thursday evening, we'll probably start to see the impacts of this cyclone really unfold in Cairns and surrounding communities. But Port Douglas could get absolutely walloped from this system. Cape Tribulation as well could get absolutely smashed by this system. Anywhere between Cooktown and probably down as far south as Innisfail is on notice for a severe tropical cyclone to move through. So make sure you are preparing for that right now. Of course, there's a chance that this system peters out, but it would be much better if everyone is prepared for this cyclone, preparing for the worst, and we're hoping for the best. So Access G3, the Bureau of Meteorology's own forecast model, perhaps my favorite scenario right now in terms of how accurate this is most likely going to be. You can see the cyclone here making landfall with sustained winds in the southern side of the system of about 60 to 65 knots, blasting them onto Cairns. Now, winds will likely be a little bit stronger than that because of the model's low resolution, so probably be around 70 to 75 knots sustained, which means 10-minute sustained winds of around 130 to 140 kilometers an hour. Destructive winds indeed, category 3 strength tropical cyclone winds indeed. And once again, a rapidly intensifying tropical cyclone, so intense thunderstorms expected around the storm center, which will very likely mean tremendous amount of rainfall and very strong gusty winds. So peak wind gusts could be approaching 220 kilometers an hour. Certainly the strongest wind gusts that Cairns has received since Tropical Cyclone Yasi of 2011. Now, I got an interesting comment on another video about a comparison between Yasi and a comparison between Jasper. Now, Jasper is, of course, much weaker. It's less significant than Yasi, but once again, still very dangerous indeed. Anyways, that is the latest on Tropical Cyclone Jasper from Force 13 Australia. Thanks so much for watching. Stay subscribed, leave a like on the video, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.
For watching our content this update. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to get more updates covering all things weather and geophysics impacting Australia and the Oceania region. Subscribe to our other channels for more content from across the network, and be sure to check out our website where you can find free access to floater and radar imagery and articles on everything weather and much more. If you wish to support us directly, you can purchase some of our merchandise. We have a wide variety of clothing and homeware, Or you could become an Ultimate fan, which is the best way to directly support us, granting you some sweet perks and offers, including features in our custom storm animations, live streams, and much more.